Hey there fellow horror fans, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Craig, and today we are diving into a brand new horror movie called Speak No Evil. Now, this is technically a remake or a reboot from a 2022 Danish horror film with the same title, and I've not seen the original. However, I have done my research on the original story, and I do know how that original movie ended. Now, this 2024 Blumhouse version of Speak No Evil had quite a big job to do, because I know a lot of people loved the original Danish version, but did Blumhouse do it justice? Well, let's take a look. In Speak No Evil, the Dalton family, who have recently relocated to London, now they end up befriending another seemingly perfect family during an Italian holiday. When the Dalton family get back to London after their vacation, they are then invited for a weekend away at this other family's home in the middle of nowhere. But guess what? Their hosts have more skeletons in their closet than a haunted mansion. Things start taking an awkward and terrifying turn, and the Daltons grapple with escalating fears and horrible mind games. They must decide whether to trust their instincts or become the next victims from this psycho couple. Speak No Evil harks back to the medium budget thrillers of the 1980s and the 1990s, where supposedly respectable families, they faced menacing outsiders. Now, director James Watkins crafts this audience-friendly movie that invites collective shouting at the screen. The film explores themes of abusive relationships and that inner voice urging escape. Mackenzie Davis, who plays the mother of Louise Dalton, all the way through the film, even at the very start of the movie, her character definitely has that little gut feeling, the feeling that we always get from time to time, the feeling that something is a little bit off. But it does all start off quite mildly at the beginning, and then it creeps up and up as the movie continues. Her character ends up thinking that she's just being stupid, she's being paranoid. This family that has invited them to their home, they may be a bit different, they may do things a little bit differently to them, but always in the back of her mind and ours, she just cannot shake that feeling that something is not quite right. And if anything, this movie proves that you should always listen to your gut feeling. It is there for a reason. Always stay in tune with your gut. Now, this film is a little bit of a slow burn, but don't let that put you off, because the film's slow burn pace works to its advantage. It excels when focusing on the Daltons' mounting fears. However, it does stumble near the end, veering into predictable territory, and I will get onto my thoughts about the ending in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about performances, because this is what really keeps the film going. It's one of the biggest positives in my opinion. Scoot McNairy, Mackenzie Davis, and James McAvoy really bring their A game, and also the two young children in this movie, they are flipping amazing. The acting all round is just spot on, with all of the different dynamics bouncing off each other. It really keeps the viewer interested, in my opinion. Of course, the big massive standout performance is definitely James McAvoy playing Paddy the crazy guy, because from the start of the film, he does seem like a very nice, genuine man. A little bit rough around the edges, but he's got a heart of gold. He's almost like the person where you want to be their friend, but you wouldn't want to be on the other side of them. This echoes all the way through the movie until we get to, around about the third act. But there are moments where the Dalton family see a very different side to James's character, but then his character just switches back to the sweet man, who at times will go on to tell a very sad story about his upbringing and his parents and losing a baby girl at some point. And he manages to manipulate the situation in such a clever way. Even me, the audience member, I was believing him at one point. James McAvoy can turn a sweet, innocent face into a completely deranged, dangerous killer with a click of a finger. And that's what makes his performance in this movie fantastic. There are some really uncomfortable moments in the film when Paddy ends up being quite rough with his little boy in front of the Dalton family. And there's a scene where the mum, Louise, goes in to check on her little girl but finds her missing from her bed. And when she goes looking around the house at 3 a.m. trying to find her, she finds her little girl in bed with Paddy and Ciara, the other couple. And you're just like, what the frig is going on? Why is this child in bed, asleep, with two grown-up people in their underwear who want these girls' parents? And it's the little moments like that that really catch you off guard and smack you in the face. You're just like, whoa, what the hell is going on? Now, even though the performances all around are amazing in the movie, I wasn't very happy with the ending. We go through nearly 2 hours of screen time following this whole story being invested, and not once did we get a showdown. I was expecting a fight scene between Louise and Ciara and another one between Paddy and Ben. Like, we learned pretty early on that, Paddy is deranged and he is unhinged, but we also learned that Ben also has a little bit of a temper, or at least he did in the past. And there's a scene about halfway through the movie where Paddy takes Ben to a completely deserted farm field, and they both stand on the top of the hill and they start screaming and roaring at the top of their lungs. And they do this to let out their suppressed anger. And then they both end up collapsing on the ground laughing and pretty much being best friends. Now, I thought they were overshadowing a good fight scene that would come up in the final act, because it would have been brilliant seeing these two go at it. I thought, in the final act, Paddy and Ben, the two men with anger issues but on different Richter scales of psychos, it would have been brilliant. We were going to have the mother of all showdowns. But no, it never happens. Don't get me wrong, we do get a really, really good, intense third act in terms of the fight for survival and the Daltons trying to run away and escape this crazed couple, but we've seen it all before. I did feel very dissatisfied when Paddy does end up getting his just desserts from that little boy who had, his tongue chopped off, but that was it. That was it. It just went super, super flat and super quickly in those final few minutes. Now, I do know that the ending version of this movie is completely different to the ending of the Danish version, because what I read is that in the Danish version, the nice family, they don't win in that version. It is the baddies who win, and it's meant to be quite a harrowing film to watch. And even though they changed it for this film, I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that the good family managed to eventually get out of there. But let's at least have a really good showdown. The movie seemed like it was building up to it, and for me, it was just a letdown. So I struggled to agree on a rating for this one, because even though I didn't like the ending and the lack of a showdown, the performances are fantastic. You cannot argue that, which is what carries the movie for me. But I also have to take into account of, will I go back and rewatch it? And if the answer to that is yes, how often would I go back and rewatch it? Now, I have to be completely honest with you guys, because of how poor the ending was and disappointing for me, I probably won't go back and rewatch this film anytime soon. Honestly, I think I may go back and rewatch it maybe once or twice at the most in my lifetime. But I just don't see myself investing in this movie again, knowing that there is no good ending. So after weighing everything up, I'm going to have to give this movie a rating of 5.9 out of 10. Now, don't let that put you off. I do encourage all of you to go and watch this film, make up your own minds. I mean, maybe you will enjoy the final act more than I did, and if that is the case for you, then definitely your rating for this movie is going to be a lot higher. But for me personally, it is going to be a 5.9. So there you have it, a glimpse into the disturbing world of Speak No Evil. That wraps up my review today. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and share all of your thoughts in the comments box below. And remember, when life gives you demons, make holy water. Until next time, guys, stay spooky.